So, have you ever heard of HRV?
No.
Okay. So, heart rate variability, it's called, it stands for. And basically, it's the space between the QRS, which is your heart waves. So, detecting different pathways, stress pathways, by using an app. So, if I could try it on you, I can explain to you just kind of where you're at and what your numbers mean on a stress level.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, I need your pointer finger. Do you want to hold it and do this?
Sure.
Okay. Might be better.
Put it on the camera.
Yep, and then I'll push. Measure. So it's going to do it for 1 minute. And then once we get the numbers, then we'll explain to you what it means. So your body has 3 different stress pathways, and basically when you feel anxious or dissociated, just depending on how you manage stress, the numbers will tell us that, and then and that's all based on basically the space between the waves.
It's a really good indicator too, because then you can kind of know for the future for how to kind of modify your stress.
How did it start again?
Just hold it, try to stay still. Does that make sense at all? What we're saying? Okay. How do you feel like you manage your stress?
Probably not very well.
Yeah, do you kind of like put it away, or?
I feel like it's more internally, like if I'm really stressed over the stomach ache usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel symptoms from
Yes.
it? Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Perfect. See what it says.
It's so cool how it measures the camera.
It is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an app that you can get on your phone, so if you ever wanted to try it out, you can definitely do that.
Yeah. We paid, I think, $10 for it.
Okay.
But that's really cool. Okay, so 10.3 was your baseline, which 226.8.
What does that mean?
So that's super high. So that just means you kind of dissociate stress. So you don't really like deal with it more so,
Oh,
like
wow.
where you feel like the anxiety of it more. So
Yeah, it's nothing to be concerned about.
No.
It's just really good to know, because
Yeah.
now you can kind of remember that for the future. So when you're kind of feeling stressed, think about what you can kind of do to modify that, or actually like deal with it in
Okay.
better ways.
yeah.
So does that mean I'm really stressed right now?
It could be. If
It can
you
mean
are.
that you have like a lot in the back of your mind that you
Yeah,
might not actually
do.
be right in the middle of,
Yeah.
but that you're thinking of.
So if there's things or activities that you do to kind of be like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now, I'm going to do this instead, that's kind of just makes you more aware of how do I really deal with stress, you know? So it's better just to be aware. It's nothing to worry about. It's not
Yeah.
bad. It's just like, oh, now I'm aware that I dissociate my stress versus feel the anxiousness of it, and just kind of how to balance that and what you could do.
Okay.
So, yeah. Thank you for
Thank
letting
you.
us do that.
Yeah,
I
that was
appreciate
interesting.
it. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So, are you aware of what HRV is?
HRV?
It's called heart rate variability.
I'm not.
If you've never heard of it.
Nope.
So, heart rate variability is the distance between your heartbeats, like the timing. And that you can actually measure with your phone on this app, which I'm gonna have you do right now.
Alright.
And I'll explain on the way. So, I'll have you hold it and then put your finger on the back where the flashlight is. See if it- Okay.
There you go.
So are you familiar with stress pathways?
Yes.
Like sympathetic, rest and digest, parasympathetic. So there's 3 stress pathways, and depending on what number you get, it can tell us like what sort of state you're in currently. So like say if the number is lower, like 20s, 30s, you could be like in a stressful situation. Maybe your anxiety is getting up. If it's like higher than 100, you might be in like a parasympathetic. You want to
Shut down, kind of.
Yeah, shut
so
down.
you kind of dissociate from
Yeah.
your stresses more so. Like if you have a lot of stress, you maybe don't want to deal with it, so then you do other things to kind of put it on the back burner, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's also a pathway called SAM, which is a state where you're excited or content with life, or you're doing something that you enjoy, and that's a good place to be in. Yeah, so that could be like 70, 80, depending on what your baseline is, it's different for
Yeah.
everybody.
So yours is an 8.0, and then it shows that you have a 65.9. So you're probably in that
SAM?
SAM pathway. You're like, oh, I can. You're like in the challenge. You feel pretty good about like you're in sympathetic, but like you feel good that you can like accomplish something. Yeah.
Yeah, so super good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have you ever heard of HRV?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm gonna be walking through with you what that is. So I'm actually gonna have you take your own measurement on an app that we have while I'm telling you what it is. So all you have to do is just put your finger over the light. So you're just gonna take your pinky finger or your index finger. Yeah, and just hold it steady like that. Okay, so HRV is called heart rate variability. It's a measure of the differing time intervals between each of your heartbeats. And so what it can tell you is when you're stressed, kind of what of the 3 stress pathways in your body that you're taking. And so normally we like to see you in kind of like a middle steady state, which means kind of that life is good, you're modifying all of your stress. But if something comes up, something big in your life, such as a test or you have a lot going on, you can take one of those different pathways. And so right now it's measuring your heart rate through your finger and it's looking at the waves. And then when this timer's done, it's going to tell you kind of what level you're at and how you're modifying your stress, if that makes sense.
So if like the number is really low, that means they're in like a more stressful situation. Maybe your anxiety's high. You just heart rate's racing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll see where you're at right now.
Okay. This is loading. So you're at a 19.5. So that's a low score, which would indicate that right now your stress is kind of at an all-time high and you're kind of feeling it. And so sometimes you might not even realize that. So it's just something good to know because then you can think about ways to modify it or how you can kind of get up back to that steady state baseline of dealing with more of those stressful feelings.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Okay.